Welcome to episode 4 of the Sports and Nothing Else podcast. Kyle, how are you?
Doing good. I'm wearing shorts. It's warm here, finally. Been working outside. Sprinkler system is engaged. Only fell into the river once, so it's been a good day. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Josh Van Epps, my friend, yelled at me about sprucing up my background. So I busted out. I believe this is Heritage Middle School 7th grade basketball B team. I weigh in this photo about 47 pounds. And then I got the big fella himself. Josh and I probably at Meyer. That's all we ever did when we were in college is drive to Meyer. And so we're getting candy. That's it. Some things we won't be talking about this week on the podcast. Deshaun Watson? Nope. The Major League's moving the All-Star game out of Atlanta. I have thoughts, but I'm not sharing them on here.
We are going to talk for 6 hours on the voting laws in Georgia, though.
We're not. I have thoughts on that too, but we're not talking about it. Anything that Donald Trump or Joe Biden has done in the last dozen years, we're not talking about any of it. You didn't come here for that. We're doing sports.
Yep.
All right. March Madness ended this week. By the time you're listening to this, you'll be like, that happened a week ago. I don't care. But we don't care. We want to talk about it. So you want to start with the Final Four of the national championship?
Up to you, really.
I'll start with the Final Four. We were right. Baylor crushed Houston.
Mm-hmm. That wasn't close for 1 second.
No. I'm glad I was at work and I couldn't watch it. It was miserable. By the way, we should mention Kyle again hit his bet last week. He had a Baylor -5 with the Zags money line. He almost lost that one, but he hit it. And if you bet with me, you were 1 for 2. So I had Baylor -5, Gonzaga -14. I actually put 10 real hard earned American dollars on Gonzaga -16.5, adjusted the line, and at no point did it appear that had any chance of winning. So there's that. I actually tried to find them at 25, and I couldn't find it. And so it's too bad. It would have been such a good winner. But that game, UCLA Gonzaga, you want to go?
I mean, yeah, you're going to be able to rattle off all the statistics of all the records that were broken and the outrageous stats. I mean, it felt like I was watching a top-notch NBA game as far as the shot making is concerned. You never see that in college basketball. Juzang was incredible.
Again,
I mean, for being a play-in tournament, or team, that was not what I expected, but it was one of the better games that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, be honest. You're 30 years old. Have you seen a better college basketball game in your life?
That I genuinely remember, probably not. I mean, you could make the argument the Leitner shot
You
with
were
the full
1
court
year
pass,
old.
but I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I wish I did. It's Grant Hill, my favorite player of all time. I mean, you got the Villanova game from a couple of years back, the Butler game. If had Gordon Hayward's full court shot gone in, that's a better game.
Sure.
But you get overtime, you get a million made shots, you get teams going back and forth, and then a banked shot from the logo to win it. You can't really beat that.
Oh, great. Yeah, so I did read something about this. Is the highest percentage of made shots from the two combined teams in a Final Four game since the early 80s. In the tournament, it is the game with the most lead changes. There were 19 lead changes in that game. You get overtime, you get a buzzer beater, you have quite a few NBA players on the court. It was awesome. I was made to go to bed before the Christian Laettner shot because I was 5 years old. So I've obviously watched highlights of that many times. But yeah, as far as games that I can remember watching, I think this is it. Now, the end of that Carolina-Villanova game was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that the quality of game from beginning to end is as good as this one was. But that was a national championship, of course, which does have to matter. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome. And Suggs, who I thought was really good in the national championship game again. I know there's a lot of Cade Cunningham slander on this podcast, but I would take Suggs number 1 because I know what I have. I have a guy that's going to care. To me, He's like Ja Morant. You're not going to miss with him. He's going to shoot it. He's going to get to the rack. He's going to play good defense, and he clearly wants to play. So anyhow,
well, that was one of my bullet points as far as the national championship, as far as things that stuck out. I mean, it's awesome to see someone care that much, especially as a freshman when you know you're not coming back. Probably,
Yep.
Be amazed if he did. They would be insane if he came back. But but crying and you could call him a wuss if you want, but to me it shows you're the ultimate competitor, and someone that just got there. So yeah, that really stuck out to me. And they could have quit a million times in that game and kept on battling back. It was never a close game, but they got it within 10 with not that much time to go.
Yeah. My other takeaway from that game is that Baylor, the two guards, Mitchell and I'm going to forget, Butler, those are pros for sure. Those guys,
absolutely.
Same thing. You would take them in the first round and you should be happy with it. My other takeaway is that Timmy and Kispert, maybe not. I mean, Kispert's going to get drafted in the first round, but they got exposed a little bit, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the size just wasn't there. You have 3 7-footers for Baylor. You very much saw that Timmy is, 6'9", maybe?
6'10",
maybe.
I mean, he was a little more
he
ground
was great.
Pound.
He still was fine, but he turned the ball over, 8 times. I did not get a lot of Timmy's going throughout that game.
He did have one.
I was going to have the full. Yeah. But, he still was great. He's a great leader. You could tell with him bringing everybody back into the huddle at the end of the game when talking to everybody. That was a cool scene, even when you just got smoked to lose an undefeated season. But, yeah, I don't think he's a starter in the NBA by any means.
No. But speaking of Gonzaga, they have a couple of 5-star recruits coming in, and they will keep some of those other guys. They're probably going to be the preseason number 1 team again next year, and they'll probably deserve it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of which, one of the guys that they're looking at getting, I'm spacing on his name right now, but he's like the skinniest person I've ever seen in my life. He reminds me of Durant. He's like 7 foot, he can dribble the ball.
Yeah.
Just outrageous. And if he would go there, it'd be super fun to watch. Kind of looks like the guy that the Thunder drafted, honestly.
Pokechi. He had 7 threes last night. 7.
And he shot like 3 free throws the entire year somehow.
Yeah, and he's not really mixing it up. He's built like me, but way bigger. All right. Well, that's probably enough on March Madness. I thought it was a great tournament. It's the best one I remember in a while.
It was. And I have one more thing that I had to share because it's someone that you'll actually know. So I had mentioned in the very first podcast that we did that our Goshen Health League has 4 prizes. So I missed out on all of them. Would have actually either won or gotten second in our league had Houston made it to the championship and Gonzaga won. But we also had a prize for last place. And I wondered if anyone would intentionally blow a bracket, and Luke Peters actually did so. If you know who Luke Peters is, Eric Peters, we grew up going to church with him. He's
Love
a CNA.
Those guys.
He was in the first percentile on ESPN. He picked every single 16 seed to win in the first round. He was 14.6 millionth, 180 points out of the possible 19,020, which is actually incredible. He only got 14 games correct in the first round and 2 games the entire rest of the way correct. He had a Rutgers versus LSU championship. So he kind of tried to disguise it a little bit that he wasn't completely blowing it, but they did announce it to the entire health system, which was kind of funny.
All right, that's pretty good. What's the prize? Is it decent?
That was $25. First place was 75, I think. Nothing big, but.
All right. Okay, well, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Animal Facts with Kyle.
All right, so we got started on crows last week, and we're going to kind of stay in that same lane. We're actually shifting to ravens here, and ravens are essentially bigger, smarter crows, so I think they're super cool.
Lamar Jackson, Ray Lewis, for instance.
So they can actually talk, and if you've heard Lamar Jackson talk, it sounds similar.
Potentially commit crimes also. You guys. Anyhow, go ahead.
I'm going to try to share this video so you can actually all see and hear. I found this on Reddit this week, and my computer is like 10 years old, so it might short out here. So we're going to give it a try. Okay. All right, so cutting back into animal facts, we're going to talk about ravens here shortly, and we're going to link a video to, or post a link to a video of this raven actually mimicking this girl's voice, and it's actually incredible. Sounds almost exactly to her cadence and everything. For some reason, I can't get the audio to play through the shared screen, but it says hello and it says thank you and multiple other things. And then the funniest part is she's trying to get it to say a different word, and it just keeps on saying hi because she gives it a treat every single time it says a word. It'll mimic like her coughing and everything, and you can tell it's getting frustrated because she's not giving it a treat. It's not saying, I think it was hello, and it's just like hi, hi, hi. She finally ends up giving it a treat, and it figures out that it was saying the wrong word. It was incredible to watch. So check out the link when we do post it.
All right. Well, maybe it can also say nevermore. Edgar Allan Poe joke, everybody. We're well read on this podcast, even if we can't figure out how to share a YouTube video on a Zoom. All right. Well, I'd find birds endlessly interesting and also slightly terrifying. So there's that. All right. On to our true passion, Major League Baseball. It's been a week. My team stinks, which I knew they would. Kyle's team is good, which we thought they might be. What are your thoughts so far? What have you seen? Don't steal my over-under or my run differential thing from today. Don't steal that.
All right, I'm not stealing that, but I have bullet points A through L. Do you want me to just run through them super quick?
I would love that.
Okay,
our
so
audience
the first
maybe
one,
not, but I would love it.
But they're very short. There is absolutely no analysis
right,
because we're renovating a house and I have had hardly any time to actually watch any baseball. So first one is Yermin Mercedes Wade Boggs. He is currently hitting .577 with 2 home runs, had hits in his first 8 at-bats. Truly insane.
Yeah, and he's about your age, not a young prospect.
No, he's 27, I think.
28, I think.
Yep. So, yeah, born in 93. Came up in the Dominican League and some random semi-professional league. Insane. Second one is Nelson Cruz, Tom Brady. Doing this at 40 years old. He is currently hitting .538 with 3 home runs. Just insane.
Scorching hot take. But yes.
He's the greatest. And PEDs as well. So next one is Byron Buxton, the MVP, the AL MVP this year. He's hitting .400 with, when I wrote this down, 3 home runs. He hit another one today.
You did. I told you to give yourself a nice big pat on the back for that one.
I mean, it's only a matter of time until he runs into a wall like he does every single year, but holy smokes, has he been awesome. Kind of giving up stolen bases for home runs, and I'll take it all day.
Yep.
Let's see, next one. And apparently, there's D. So this is an outdated take from yesterday. Is Ketel Marte, the NL MVP. He's hitting .563 with 2 home runs. He also got hurt yesterday, so we'll see how that lasts. It wasn't bad, I don't think, but
he's good.
Yeah, he was bad last year, and he was fantastic the year before, so it seems to be bouncing back. Next point is Tyler Glasnow, the Cy Young in the AL, and
so far
the biggest knock against him last year in the last couple of years was he's really a 2-pitch pitcher. Fastball, curveball. Has developed a slider this year that's pretty nasty and enough that it looks like his fastball, that it kind of disguises itself into almost like a circle change. It's disgusting. And 3 pitches from him when he throws 100 miles an hour is just not even fair.
So now, yeah.
Outdated take number 2, are the Royals good? And they do not look good.
No, they're
the
not.
last couple of days, and they're not
they're
actually good, but their offense is sneaky okay. So I think they're definitely I'd say they're still the 4th best team in the Central, but at least it makes the Central respectable. Next take, the Astros bet looks good, and the Astros in general look incredible. Their plus minus is insane, so I'm not going to steal any more plus minus from you, but they look really good, and that's disappointing. The next, and this is still accurate, the A's suck. Now, they have played the Dodgers and the Astros to start the season. Schedule's obviously going to get easier, but I don't see them winning that division. In fact, I see them 3rd in that division at best. Next take, and I'm sorry this is hurtful, but the Indians cannot score, and I don't think they're going to score the entire year. Their pitching's still great, but that's going to be miserable.
I know.
This is a really hot take. This next one, Dodgers are deep. That's all.
Really hot. Really tough.
I mean, they have 7 starting pitchers. That would be the best pitcher on the Twins. It's so frustrating. I mean, they gave away Kenta Maeda.
Yeah, that's the thing. They gave away the guy who finished 2nd in the AL Cy Young last year, and it doesn't even matter. They don't care.
It doesn't matter. I don't even think he would be in the rotation.
No, he was in their bullpen.
It's so stupid.
Ridiculous.
Next take, which has aged well since I wrote it down. Braves will be fine. Acuna is now raging. They're going to be fine. And then the very last one, Philly's good. I like the over bet. We'll see if their pitching lasts, but offenses look pretty good.
Yeah. You're the best hitting catcher in baseball.
I did have one more cool fact along the Yermin Mercedes, and I should have jumped it in there at the start, but to give Van Epps a little Tigers shout out, Akil Baddoo has been awesome. Such a cool story, and I don't know if you heard the interview with his parents who were there for his very first game, and he hit a home run in his first at bat. It was such a cool interview that mom saying, now I can go get a pretzel. It was awesome. But he's the first player in modern MLB history to hit a grand slam, another home run, and a walk-off hit in his first 3 MLB games. So super cool story. He killed the Twins at the last game that they just lost, but good for him.
Yeah, and he had not played above high A, so he basically skipped 2 stops in the minor leagues because he was a Rule 5 pickup, which means he has to stay on the Major League roster. Doesn't seem like he's going to have trouble doing that at this point. To answer your questions about all the AL and NL Cy Youngs and MVP, I would go no, 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 and no. But a lot of those guys have been great, for sure. Okay, I have a couple things. The Dodgers are trotting out Julio Urias as their 4th starter right now. Julio Urias would be the ace on like 23 teams. Walker Buehler is their 3rd starter. He also might be the best pitcher in the National League. It's ridiculous. It's not even fair. They're going to just scorched earth the entire major leagues. Couple of positives. It looked like Fernando Tatis Jr. might be out for the year. Kyle and I split a fantasy team and drafted him first, so selfishly that would have been terrible. But thankfully it looks like about 10 days and he'll be back. He's too exciting for the major leagues to lose for a whole year. Mike Trout, still not that old. Still raking. You'll love to see it. The poor Angels, though, can't stop anyone, so they're not going very far. But I have enjoyed watching fans bring inflatable trash cans to the Astros games and throw them on the field and bang on them. Well-deserved and enjoyable, at least for this simpleton. I gave you Acuna as the MVP a couple weeks ago. I stand by that. I think he's the MVP in the National League, and I think we're going to get to the end of this season and go, that might be the best player in baseball. I really do believe that. He has started to walk more towards the end of last year. And if he's going to walk in that lineup and hit, people are in trouble because that lineup is deep. After him comes Albies, Freeman, Ozuna, d'Arnaud. I'm missing someone. I can't remember. And then Dansby Swanson hits 7th. I mean, that's unbelievable. They're for a National League lineup. They're incredibly deep. Now I'm just annoyed that I can't figure out who I missed on the Braves. Anyhow, they're awesome. And I think they're going to be fine. They showed a graphic. I was watching the Braves and Nationals doubleheader because I love Soto and Acuna, that they were like right at the top in pitching in weak contact rate, but the batting average on balls in play, they were like worse in the major leagues, which means they're like outrageously unlucky. And they were in the same issue with their hitters. And so basically what Kyle said, that it's not going to sustain. They're the best team in the NL East, and I'll stand by that as long as I can. Trying to think. Oh, here's a good one. I texted Kyle the leaders in run differential in the American League and National League today, and the people who are the furthest back. So piggybacking on what Kyle said, it's going to be a mistake if the Indians score more than 3 runs in any game. They have given up. They have scored a league worst 17 runs. They are tied with the Athletics. However, the Indians have given up 16 runs to the 17 they have scored. Kyle, would you like to tell the people how many runs the Athletics have given up in their first 7 games?
It's in the 30s, right?
No, it's 53.
Oof.
In 7 games.
And their starting pitchers have an ERA over 8.
It's really bad. They're really bad. And I believe we called this on this podcast. So I'd like to at least give us a little credit since we miss most things. Few other things. The Blue Jays look really frisky. I love their young lineup.
Vlad looks good.
And Bichette hit 2 home runs yesterday. And they get all those guys going. Basically, the whole team is sons of former major leaguers.
Which is super cool.
On Tatis, they really should have him. But they're gonna be interesting because they have enough pitching. The guy I gave you for AL MVP, Rafael Devers, has 1 hit on the season. So there's that. He did hit a home run today. And after a week, I think the Twins are the best team in the AL Central, which is not what I was expecting to say. But I've been very impressed. So congrats to you on that one. And I think that's about it. Padres are going to be good. Dodgers are going to be good. No surprise. And I think the Cardinals might run away with the NL Central too. So,
yeah, the Reds actually look good though. Speaking of
no
bad balls in play stat that you had mentioned earlier, they had the second worst in MLB history last year. Had a lot of guys that underperformed just purely on bad luck. So Castellanos has looked good, and when he's not suspended. Um, which, speaking of which, how are you going to suspend somebody for Joe Kelly was the first instance for giving a pouty face, Castellanos for flexing, and the entire Astros organization didn't get one suspension for an organized. I'm combining organizational scandal and organized cheating scandal.
Yeah, because it was
unbelievable.
Well, I have to tell you, it's really great to have the major leagues back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice. Cooney hit 2 home runs off Max Scherzer the other day. Couldn't be happier about it. It's nice to have it back. So yeah, we'll have plenty more to talk about with that going forward. But watching the Indians offense right now makes I'm losing the rest of my hair. But other than that, I'm having a good time. So yeah, that's about it. It's probably enough on the major leagues because people have now tuned out, I think. But I will say this. The Detroit Tigers, who are going to be bad this year, have so much talent coming and already on their roster. They're a couple years away from being really good. So I know a lot of the people that watch this are Tigers fans because of the Michigan connections we have. It pains me to say it, but there's some serious talent coming on that team as well. So, all right, baseball, that's good?
Yep.
All right, so nice. And only one COVID issue this week, so hopefully we'll keep it going. All right. A new segment that I'm really looking forward to. There was a tweet that I saw this week that's going to be my part of this segment after Kyle does his that made me want to throw my computer away. And so we debut a new segment that will be here every week called Things We Hate. Now, this is sports hate. It's different than real hate. We don't actually hate any of these people. If it's a thing, we might actually hate it. But I'll go second because I'm going to get fired up, but I need to pull the tweet up real quick. Kyle, go ahead. What's the thing you hate this week?
All right, so I actually do hate mine. It's not a person, but it is it's just sports in general. What the heck are we doing with 9:30 championship games on a weekday? I mean, the Super Bowl is bad enough when it's on a Sunday, but on a Monday night, the national championship started when I'm normally laying in bed.
It's ridiculous.
And because it's a national championship and I loved Gonzaga, I stayed up for the entire thing, even though it wasn't a close game after 8 minutes of game time. And my wife still woke me up for a walk at 5 a.m. So I'm still tired, still don't feel right. Ate a million hamburgers and French fries that night watching the game. It's just infuriating. I mean, I understand if it was on the West Coast and you had people that genuinely had to like get out of work and go to the game. Sure, the game's in freaking Indy. Why is it on so late? And who cares about your West Coast viewership? In fact, if I lived on the West Coast, which I have many friends that do, when you have 11 o'clock NFL start times, it's amazing. You wake up, go to church, come home, have some brunch, you're watching football. 10?
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Whatever.
3 hours.
Either way, it's awesome.
No, it is.
So if I have a national championship game starting on a weekday and it starts at 6:30, I'm thrilled. I don't have to take off work. I don't have to be a zombie if I go to work. It's awesome. Meanwhile, the entire East Coast is screwed because everyone is exhausted the next day. And we have meetings every morning on Tuesday, and I was worthless.
Listen,
thank you, National Championship.
You're either going to have to do one of two things for us here. A, start the games earlier, like 8:30. It's just an hour. Just give me 8:30. It's ridiculous. My 6-month-old son doesn't care that the game was on late and I was up late. He's up before the crack of dawn anyways. He doesn't care. 2, make the next day a national holiday or a national half day. That's what they should do after the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous. No one should go to work that Monday morning. You're probably getting negative productivity. More things are getting messed up on that Monday morning than if you just leave it alone and come back in on Tuesday or like Monday at 1. Give us some holidays or something. Get rid of Columbus Day and things we don't care, like that are not necessary and not something to be proud of. And give us Super Bowl Monday. Come on, people. This is not hard. Okay, things I hate. This is a long-standing hate. Let me read you a tweet from Skip Bayless, the worst journalist in the world, after that Gonzaga-UCLA game. Are you ready? Here it comes. No idea how you can call that an all-time great college basketball game when it was won by a lucky shot. Listen, A, are you blind, Skip Bayless? B, how can you, like, I understand Skip Bayless has more money, makes more money every year than I'll make in my whole life spewing garbage on television. But like, I'm gonna quote some scripture here for you. What good is it to gain the world if you lose your soul? Like, he knows when he tweets that out that it's complete and utter trash. That anyone who watched that game immediately is going to have a visceral reaction of like, Skip, you bleepity bleep, what is wrong with you? Like, and I understand it's his brand, and a million people retweeted it and commented on the tweet. Of course they did, but like, it's not even like controversial. It's just as stupid and wrong. And if you've watched him on TV, you know a lot of what he says is stupid and wrong. But like, this is absurd. That shot wasn't luck. Good players practice those shots all the time. Suggs clearly knew it was going in from the way he reacted when the ball left his hand. He was already doing his move to the sideline because he knew it was going in. Like, I can't with this stuff. Skip Bayless, if he never said another word on the air or on Twitter or anywhere, if someone put a muzzle on him, honestly, and then tied his hands together and he just had to sit there, great. This is ridiculous. Go away. Like, give me someone who cares enough to be honest when something is awesome. Like, we all watch sports because sports are a release from life, which can really be terrible sometimes. Mostly it's decent, but you know, I don't need this garbage infiltrating my sports life when one of the coolest games I've ever seen I just watched. Like, get this out of here. So anyhow, Skip Bayless, I sports hate you and also a little bit really hate you. That's things we hate this week. Got anything you want to add to that?
I think I really hate Skip Bayless.
I try to be careful with that. I work at a church, you know, but geez Louise, it's a mess. Anyhow, sorry, Skip. Not sorry at all. I mean, Skip's not going to listen to this. Give me a break. You just sit in his mansion and laugh about people getting mad at his scalding hot takes. All right. Are you ready for some bets of the week?
Yep.
Okay. So here's what we're planning on. One bet that will happen this week before the next podcast happens. It's got to be an NBA game, Major League game, or unless Kyle wants to bet the Masters or something. And then the second one is a long-term NBA bet. So Kyle, do you have your short-term bet? Kind of.
Yeah. So I've got like 1.5-ish, and
Right.
I will be watching the Masters. I'm trying to not suck at golf, and it's not working. But so my short-term bet is the Red Sox with a revenge, either sweep or taking 2 or 3 from the Orioles. The Orioles are not actually good. Just a
Can
newsflash there.
you give me like a way we could actually bet that though?
So I cannot figure out how to find the actual odds on that because it's in the future and nothing's shown up on FanDuel, and I don't actually do that much sports betting.
Don't
So
speak bad about our really important sponsor like that.
Figure it out yourselves.
Do you want to just take money line Red Sox all 3 games?
Yes, correct. Okay. So the other 2 that I had from last night, I actually went 1 for 2, but one of them was just an embarrassing loss. I had the Pels because we're going to do the podcast last night, so I had everything prepared for that. Had the Pelicans over Brooklyn. Did not think that KD was playing. Turns out he was, and turns out that was a beatdown. But it was plus 320, so had they won, it was pretty good odds. Did also have the Suns over the Jazz at plus 106 money line, and that did hit. So I'm taking that as a win, and you're putting that down in the podcast history.
Deal. Got it. I put it down as a winner already on my notebook I'm writing on here. Okay.
Bam. And you can put me down for a loss with the Pels as well.
I absolutely did.
That's fine.
All right.
So do you want me to do the long term, or are you going to do your
No, I'll do my short term. Right. I thought I'd give you one that would happen fast. So if you wanted to make some money real quick, you could go against this one, and tomorrow you can have your money. I have the Padres taking the Padres minus 1.5 over the Rangers tomorrow. The Rangers are god awful. And the pitching matchup is Joe Musgrove for the Padres, who I actually like, against someone named Arihara, who I don't know who that is. And that's pretty rare that I don't know who a starting pitcher in the major leagues is. Between selling baseball cards and following very closely, I usually know who everyone is. I don't know who that guy is. I think the Padres are going to win by 4, 5, 6, 8. So Padres minus 1.5. Take it. all the way to the bank. All right, long-term NBA bet. What you got?
All right, so I did NBA Finals odds, and I did MVP as well, but we can skip that because we can talk about that another time. So I have three that I kind of liked not really long shots, but not like the very, very top ones. You got 76ers at plus 1,300 with Embiid back. Embiid has been awesome when he's played, and they were great without him, with Simmons kind of taking the lead role. So I really like that at plus 1,300.
To win the finals?
That's to win the finals. Everyone wants the Nets out of the East. If the Nets are healthy, the Nets are my pick out of the East, but I don't know that the Nets are ever going to be healthy. The other two that I really like are the Nuggets at plus 1,800. The Nuggets have looked phenomenal with Gordon, and Jokic has been arguably the best player in the NBA this year. I mean, he's like 50, 40, 90 with 9 assists and scoring 27 a game. It's insane.
And both of us are significantly faster than he is. That's what's amazing.
But the one of the better shots I've ever seen, I saw last night, the highlight, the turnaround of the guy in his face, and he shot it about to the ceiling and just splash. Didn't even touch the rim. Just nuts. It was like a no-look 22-footer. And then my last one that I actually really like is the Suns plus 3,600. The Suns have arguably been the best team since about the first 2 weeks of the season, record-wise.
Got a stat for you. 25-5 in their last 30.
Mm-hmm. They have been awesome. Chris Paul's been great, obviously. The big question mark is Ayton going to be able to do it in the playoffs? He's been really inconsistent. When he's on, they're rolling with him and Booker and Paul, but you never know. And they're just going to be matchups that he can't play. So, yeah, I like them. I like Chris Paul to finally do it in the playoffs this year, especially with banged up Lakers and kind of a free-for-all in the West. And those are pretty good odds.
I agree. They're going to be the 2 seed more than likely. The Clippers don't get to them. We should mention, I was going to give Kyle credit. Kyle, at the beginning of the year, made 2 bets that I made fun of him about. He bet the Warriors not to make the playoffs, which means they would not finish in the top 8, even if they make it for the play-in game. He wins. And the Hawks to make the playoffs, which I really thought wasn't going to happen. And turns out that firing their coach made that bet a winner, because they've been awesome since Nate McMillan took over. So it looks like Kyle might win both of those. And as usual, I'm wrong. So congrats on that. All right, I didn't do final stuff yet. I can piggyback, actually, on the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are really interesting. But let me tell you something. It would make me so happy to see the Nets flame out early. James Harden is my least favorite player in the NBA. And the only reason that Kyrie Irving isn't my least favorite player in the NBA is because James Harden is in the NBA. So I hope that Harden is terrible again in the playoffs, and Kyrie is more concerned about the earth being flat than winning playoff games, and Durant gets mad at both of them, and they flame out with all those buyout guys they got. I hope they lose. That would make me really happy. Or that, like the Lakers or whoever, cram it down their throat in the finals. That'd be fine too. My long-term bet,
or that the Lakers are in the play-in game, which would be one of the greatest play-in games of all time.
Certainly possible. Could you imagine Lakers Warriors play-in game? Pretty good.
And then the Jazz having to play the Lakers in the first round when they're actually healthy.
It'd be hilarious. My long-term bet is Embiid to win the MVP. We kind of all didn't know what to do with the MVP because it was supposed to be Embiid, then he got hurt, and then it's supposed to be LeBron, and then he got hurt, and no one wants to vote for Giannis. And no one likes big, goofy white guys. So Jokic probably isn't going to win it, even though he maybe should. And so Embiid came back like with a flamethrower the other night against the Celtics. And I think he's going to just take back that mantle of very clearly being the best player in the NBA this year. And I think people will look past the fact that he missed quite a few games because he also had rest days earlier in the season. But I think he's going to win the MVP. For a lot of the time, he was not very good odds, but he's up to plus 360 because he missed all that time. So that's my pick. So you can count on him spraining an ankle anytime.
Hey, and I have $20 on that from like 4 months ago, so I'm sure it will not hit.
There you go. All right. Well, honestly, we're near the end. It's family fiasco time. I got 2 for you. So if you want to go, you can go ahead.
Okay. I have one that I did not actually witness, and I don't know if I've told you this story or not, but it's truly one of the most outrageous stories that's ever been told to me about a member of my family. So,
all right.
If you're not familiar with my living situation, our sister-in-law, we have 2 apartments above and below the garage. So my in-laws live with us, the siblings of my wife. And one of them is a avid Door Dasher. So not a huge fan of picking up her food, which fantastic. DoorDash is the greatest. And if they want to sponsor us, that'd be nice because I'd like free delivery.
Yeah, me too.
So Sullivan is not a fan of people coming up to the house that he does not know. Gets really, really excited. And if it's the postman, he barks until he literally poops his pants. DoorDash people, he knows they bring food. Like, he literally has been programmed for this. So he just bolts. If you don't hold him back, he'll just bolt out. He'll try to get the bag. This lady had her child in the back of her minivan, and the food was in the back of the minivan as well. So when she got out in our driveway, she grabbed the food, came up to the door, knocked, opened the door. Katie answers the door, takes her food. Sullivan bolts right between both of their legs into the back seat of this lady's minivan, where her child, her toddler, is eating McDonald's chicken nuggets. He takes her chicken nuggets, eats them, and runs right back into the house. He literally took this toddler's nugs. It's unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, that's outstanding. So what was the reparation paid to the child?
I would assume a very large tip to the Uber driver. Or the whatever it's called, DoorDash driver. But again, this is a secondhand story, so I can't guarantee the facts are accurate, but I don't know why they would make that up. It's just outrageous.
That's terrific. All right. Well, I have two. These both happened this week. This is one very expected and one not. So the one that's expected, I've mentioned that my 3-year-old is spunky. So earlier this week, I was just working on cleaning up the living room, and we have kind of a play area attached to the living room. We have a very long, narrow living room. So I look over, and Kate, the 3-year-old, has turned on her play piano to play looped music, basically, so that she can dance in a circle running around the play area. This is not surprising. This happens all the time, okay? Meanwhile, so she's like running herself ragged, and the baby, the 7-month-old, is on all fours gyrating back and forth. And I looked and I was like, you know what? This is exactly what my life is. Exactly. It encapsulates my current situation in my life. So that was something. The second one is definitely better. So I'm at work this week, and Emily sends me a picture text. And normally it's like a funny GIF or like some ridiculous inspirational thing that she thinks is hilarious or something. This time it is a picture of our oldest, who's like the most conscientious. Like, we're always trying to push her out of her box. We're like the 3-year-old, we're trying to get into the box. 6-year-old, we're trying to get out. She is out on our porch, which we have a fence on either side, but like, you could definitely, the neighbors can see onto the porch if they want to. She is out there playing completely naked. Completely buck naked. So Emily sends me this picture from her back with a little bleepage, but it blew my mind. Like, this child is not, I don't know, it was wild, but just completely naked. Had just like decided like, oh, it's hot, I'm gonna take all my clothes off out here on the in the outside. So these are the kind of things that I'm dealing with on a weekly basis around here. So pray for me or send help or something. So, all right. That brings us to recommendations. You got any more super uplifting movies and TV shows?
I do have a comedy one this week. I've got two. So try to stick with the one movie, one TV show. So the movie's going to stay with my general theme of really liking like survival type movies. So it's a movie called Jungle. It's with Daniel Radcliffe. It's actually based on a true story about Yossi Ginsburg, who was basically an American tourist, or I think he was American tourist in Bolivia, and he wanted to go find lost tribes, basically explore somewhere that no one has ever seen. Hired this guy that he met in some random town to take him into the jungle. They ended up, 2 of his friends went with him. Ends up getting lost in the jungle, and it's basically the story of his survival and getting his way back to civilization. And it is brutal but fantastic. And knowing it's a true story, it's really an interesting movie if you like that type of thing. TV, and this actually is a show that I watched a while ago. A general warning: there is some serious language in this show, but it is hysterical. The reason it's top of mind, Le Batard and Friends recently launched a new podcast with Hank Azaria. It's called The Jim Brockmire Show. So This is based off a television show about a minor league broadcaster. It's just called Brockmire. If you don't know who Hank Azaria is, he's basically the voice actor for most of the voices on The Simpsons.
Yep.
It is hysterical if you like dry, fairly inappropriate humor. If you don't like swearing, just go ahead and ignore this recommendation, but it's fantastic.
Did you watch Ted Lasso yet?
I have not. Nope.
Ask you every week. Ridiculous. Listen, watch Ted Lasso, people. All right, I'm going to go all childish this week. Are you ready? This is going to be all head shakers to anyone that is related to us by parents, because mom and dad would be like, geez Louise. But anyhow, it's my favorite movie, comedy, Step Brothers. This is an old movie, but if you've never watched this movie, do yourself a favor this week, especially if you're finding that you're just like in the dumps with COVID and stuff and don't know what to do. Step Brothers, do it. Second thing, I said I wasn't going to say this one on the podcast, but I'm doing it anyways. A few years ago, boy, it's actually quite a few years ago, they revamped for a season Beavis and Butthead. And listen, this is the funniest 8 episodes of TV I think I've ever seen. It's not sophisticated humor. It is not for NPR listeners and tea drinkers. But it is, if you can block out how stupid it is, hilarious. That's all.
And it is taking all my self-restraint to not pull my shirt over my head for Corn Julio right now.
Yeah, well.
Oh, it's so great, especially if you like rock music, because they pull in all the music videos just like they used to back in the day, and it's one of the better things. And I cannot believe that Zoolander is not your favorite movie anymore. It actually hurts my heart.
Well, I was going to do Zoolander, but then I decided to go with Step Brothers today. All right, last thing, baseball card corner, back by popular demand. I got 3 guys that I think are good buys right now. First, Ke'Bryan Hayes. Now, I know he got beat up and sprained his wrist the other day, but in his first at bat of the season, he absolutely unloaded a 3-run homer. This is his first card. It's from 2015 Bowman. This is a good card to get. You can get these just under $30 right now. I bought, I don't know, 20 of them this week. Second guy, the next big thing in San Diego, C.J. Abrams. They drafted him with the 6th pick, 2019. He's kind of their last high draft pick probably because they're good now. But this is 2019 Bowman Chrome draft. He's good. I'm telling you. Granted, he's a shortstop. He's a little bit blocked. But I think they'll figure out a place for him to play because he's going to be really good. And lastly, his stuff is not cheap. But this is the next guy. Justin Herbert is going to be the best quarterback in the NFL in a few years. So even though his stuff is expensive, money is heading towards the NFL and sports cards. He's who you want. Do not go buy Tua. I don't believe in a lot of the guys coming out this year, except for Trevor Lawrence and actually Justin Fields, who seems to be sliding. But this is your guy. Herbert. This is Donruss Optic. You got Prism, Contenders, so on. All right, and then a show off. Go ahead.
How mad are you going to be if Fields slides to the Patriots?
I'm going to be furious because he's clearly going to be good. I listened to a podcast about that today, which you probably did too, Bill Simmons podcast. Yep. All right, last thing, show off. There's 2 cards that came in the mail today. If you know anything about cards, you know these are pretty big cards. This is Albert Pujols, PSA 10 Topps Chrome rookie. Juan Soto, Optic Gold, PSA 10 rookie. I'm holding about $15,000 in my hands here. These are good cards.
And now you're getting robbed.
Yeah, now they won't be here very long. They're already on the internet. And they get hidden away in a safe in my house. So there you go. That's all. Also, that was a lie. I don't have a safe, but they do get hidden away.
And if you did, I would know the code.
Yeah, you would. We're not going to say right now. All right. Although it's to be just numbers in a safe. You wouldn't know that code. You know all my passwords. If Kyle ever gets mad at me, I'm host because he can look into everything I have.
Destroy you on everything.
All right. You got anything else for the good people that will maybe listen to this podcast?
I think that's it.
Talked to my friend Tony tonight at basketball, where his kids play in my basketball league. He said he was going to start listening. So, Tony, sorry for this rambling, but we'd love to have you on board. He's a really cool guy and a good human being. So anyhow, Josh, pictures. Did this for you. More coming next week. Kyle, still got blank wall.
It's my ceiling. I can't help that.
Oh, interesting. All right. Talk to you.